Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host, Lee Zimmerman, and I'm here with my production co-host and friend, Billy Hubbard. And today, we're excited to have Jesse Dayton as our guest. And welcome, Jesse. It's nice to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I've been checking you guys out online for a while, so it's kind of nice to meet you guys.
Well, it's nice to meet you too. However, virtually, you have a storied career and a wonderful new album, and it's a pleasure to have you. How are things? You're a busy boy, aren't you?
I really am. I just got back from Australia with Samantha Fish, so I'm jet lagging kind of hard right now.
Sorry about that.
But that's just you can sleep when you're dead, guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But it's great. I spent the last 16 months touring this record that I did with Samantha Fish, and it was a hit record. It was number one Billboard Blues.
Excellent.
And it got nominated for Best Blues Grammy, which
Wow.
was cool. And
Wow, man.
And we got to go to LA and to the Grammys and do all that. And then, we did a bunch of shows with, we played Jazz Fest, and we did some shows with Buddy Guy for his last tour in New York. And
Wow.
and it was just great. But the whole time I was doing this, I had this new record called The Hard Way Blues just
Yes.
in the can.
Yes.
That was just been sitting there. So now the record's finally coming out.
So when you say it was sitting in the can, what do you mean? It was on hold for a while?
Yeah, well, what happened was Shooter Jennings produced this new record. And I met Shooter when he was 15, and I was playing guitar for Waylon.
Wow.
Cool.
And so, yeah, when Waylon kind of plucked me out of obscurity when I was 24 years old,
Oh,
and
man.
I went to Nashville and played guitar on this record, really cool record he made called Right for the Time.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Shooter, who would come and hang out at the studio. And of course, I was closer to Shooter in age than I was to the guys in Waylon's band.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would hang out with this kid, and of course, you fast forward 15 years later, whatever, 20 years later, and Shooter's a Grammy award winning producer.
Oh, yeah.
And so I called Shooter up and I was like, hey man, I know you're hot right now, but you got time to make a record with your old buddy? And
Nice.
And he said, of course. So we went into LA to the studio where Neil Young and Lucinda and a bunch of my heroes, recorded, and we made the record in like record time, dude. We did the whole thing in like a week.
Really?
Wow.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Yeah, all the musicians in the room, old school, left a lot of work vocals and a lot of guitar stuff on there. So there's not like a ton of overdubs and just really excited to get this record out.
Well, one of the remarkable things about the record and about your career is the fact that you're not pigeonholed in one genre. You really vary the style and the sound and make it your own, which is pretty extraordinary to have someone do that. So I'm curious where your initial influences were and sort of what your guiding light was as far as this particular album was concerned.
Well, I grew up on I'm in my mid 50s. So I grew up on the Texas-Louisiana border.
Mm-hmm.
In like 70s and 80s. And, I got to see the end of all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like before the corporations came in and took everything over, and we still had 24-hour DJs from Lafayette, who were speaking in Cajun, and we had rhythm and blues stations that actually played blues and Zydeco music, and we had honky tonk stations that were, and when I say full on honky tonk, I don't mean like 90s country pop stuff. I mean like pedals like Johnny Bush and all this old school, obviously all the Outlaw stuff, but I listened to all that music when I was a kid, and plus I loved all the stuff that all my friends loved that was on the radio. I mean, still my favorite band's still the Rolling Stones, but we listened to a lot of Texas centric blues, Billy Gibbons and ZZ Top, and those guys were around Beaumont a lot. Johnny Winter, of course, him and Edgar grew up 2 blocks away from me.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I would see George Jones and Johnny Winter and all these guys at the Dairy Queen, and then I'd be leaving the Dairy Queen and they'd be on the radio,
Wow, location's everything, right?
Yeah, especially when it's a Dairy Queen. Nothing wrong with that.
Man,
yeah. Wow. So you really were immersed in the essence of this particular sound from firsthand experience, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was weird, because when I left, man, I thought everybody was like that, and then when I came to Austin, and there were all these different scenes and groups, and you had all these rules, and if you were into the Clash, you couldn't listen to Led Zeppelin, or if you were a blues purist, you didn't, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix weren't really the thing, and there were all these silly rules, and for me, I was like, hey, I could care less about genres. I just want a good song, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I got to see Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark a bunch.
Oh, wow.
In Houston. And and got to meet those guys. And that kind of got me like, wow, man, maybe I need to read some books. Maybe I need to look, start checking out some poetry and getting serious about my, about lyrics and putting about 10,000 hours into that. So that was a big help too.
Oh yeah. That's funny. You know what? We got the venue, my venue here where we're recording from, because we had to bring some gear up here. We got this Saturday, got the Guy Clark tribute. We got my friend Sean Camp and Verlin Thompson coming out.
Sean Camp. I know him. He's killer, man.
Yeah, man. He's been playing with Guthrie Trapp. He's been hanging out with Billy Gibbons, man. He's got there with a lot of greats too.
Yeah,
but you had me with Samantha Fish, man. I watched some of the video of you and her together. I don't know when. Actually, it's on YouTube. I don't know how old it was, but man, I love your style. A lot of blues all sounds the same, but what you guys were doing was just very unique and awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what Billy is saying is absolutely correct. How do you stand out in a genre that's so frequently well played, and everybody tends to rehash the Muddy Waters licks and rehash the past? What do you do to bring that forward?
Well, I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I'm a massive record collecting nerd. Right?
Good for you.
So I have over 5,000 records in my collection.
Wow.
And I've been going through, milk crate bins in record stores since I was a little kid, 15, 16 years old. And, when I hear blues now, it's usually super derivative.
Yes.
It's usually a Stevie Ray Vaughan sounding guitar player. It's usually John Bonham, super big John Bonham drums. which, don't get me wrong, I love that stuff. I'm a Zeppelin freak. I love,
Me too.
I saw Stevie Ray play with the Cobras when I was a kid. I mean,
Wow.
I love all that stuff, but there's so much more out there, to mine. And like, so, I was listening to like this, Nance Lipscomb and Lightning Hopkins, like East Texas country blues. And I was listening to some of the stuff from Louisiana. This is all stuff that like 50 miles from my house, like Slim Harpo and, Lazy Lester. And there's just so much cool blues stuff that, and of course, Samantha Fish she was really into that whole North Mississippi thing since she was a kid. Like her dad got her into that. And so, we were like, hey, this is our opportunity. We're probably going to piss some traditionalists off, but this is our chance to kind of do something different here,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man. I'm curious, what was it like? You were in the land down under, Australia. How were those audiences relating to what you did?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is I've never been to a concert where a guy and a girl shred on guitars and rock out. Like we're huge Derek and Susan fans, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, Susan's got the best voice in the business.
Susan Tedeschi, we're talking about.
And Derek, no one can touch that guy on slide. I mean, he's in a different stratosphere, but it's a real kind of laid back hippie groove jam thing. Whereas what we were doing was like really in your face rock and roll kind of show. So it was high energy. And so when we knew that, we'll let them be the Beatles and we'll be the Stones or vice versa, whatever. We were trying to do something, different. And so, we went down under and it was the same as everywhere we play. People are just kind of shocked because I think people have gotten so used to these kind of sleepy mid-tempo Americana concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they go and see these bands and these bands are like, they're acting like they're playing the most precious thing in the world, and they're staring at their shoes, and it's mid-tempo.
Oh boy!
And it's like, hey man, just bring your pillow. You know what I mean? Like, because I wanted to see, I wanted something like those shows that I saw when I was a kid that were like, so exciting, and so the Australians are like, they're very much like Texans with crazy British accents. You know what I mean?
Those crazy British accents.
Yeah.
Wow. So was it a new experience for that audience, or how did they relate? Did they just take it right away? Feel right at home with it?
I mean, I think some of them were a little stunned at first. They weren't expecting us to rock out like that, but I mean, they always go nuts. And then when they get, we did one show, it was like 12,000 people there at this Broad Beach Festival.
Wow.
And it was, they were going nuts. And, it was pretty much like that everywhere we played. I mean, because I think, that audience, like I said, they've gotten really used to like this mid-tempo Americana thing that's just kind of, some of that stuff, listen, I love. Like, I love Isabel and I love Margot and, like that stuff. Those guys are like amazing songwriters. But I also think there's a lot of stuff out there where you go see it, you're just like, well, this is, it's not, there's no sex.
Yeah.
There's no sex on stage. It's like, it's kind of, it's kind of like there's nothing happening below the waist, and
This is a PG podcast here. Be careful.
Well,
Jesse.
I'm just saying, like when you were a little.
I know.
I know
we're joking.
I know you're joking, but like even Muddy Waters or Little Richard or Rolling Stones or whoever it was, they had that kind of like thing that kind of got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
a little bit of an insurgent sound, a little bit of a shake up the repertoire a bit, Yeah.
Jesse, this is true, man. When we do, of course, we do have guests. We do a little bit of research and look up a lot of stuff just to refresh us. And man, I started listening to the, like I was saying, the video of you and Samantha, and I was just going to listen to a little bit here and there, just kind of find a little variety. And man, I got mesmerized. I think I don't know how far I got into that, but it was like 5 or 6 songs in, and I'm still just mesmerized. I mean, you guys,
I'm still mesmerized.
I'm mesmerized.
I'm
now,
looking
yeah.
at him here,
Okay,
and he's totally mesmerized.
He's never seen me mesmerized before.
I've never seen Billy so mesmerized. He's just.
I usually have the same look all the time, but
I thought it was just a momentary occurrence, but obviously it's lingering.
Well, I just thought, I thought maybe we could interject that into this scene that's happening, that they could use a little kick, and and trust me, I mean, like about 3 weeks ago, I had the great pleasure of going up on stage and trading songs with just me and Lyle Lovett on our acoustic.
Really?
Right?
Wow,
man. And I'm a huge fan of singer-songwriters.
Sure.
It doesn't all have to be, boogie woogie below the waist,
yeah.
But with the Samantha thing, I kind of felt like, wow, we should do that with this, because she's just a hot guitar player. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's unique, yeah.
We're going to take a couple of seconds break here to have a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back with you, Mr. Jesse Dayton. Hold on one sec. Okay, we're back with our special guest, Jesse Dayton, and we're dwelling a lot on what's happening below the waist. Well, I don't know if I put that correctly. The music, anyway. You have a storied career, Jesse, but let's talk about the new album and kind of what inspired. What was the impetus for the new album? What was the thought process when you went into choosing the songs and thinking about where you're going to go, as far as the current music is concerned?
Yeah, well, I was kind of I'd gone through this phase during COVID where, I had kind of gotten away from outlaw country, and I'd really done that. I mean, after the playing with all the Highwaymen and then making my record and the whole the cult following that I built up from that, I'd kind of was starting to explore this East Texas country blues stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like Mance Lipscomb and Lightning Hopkins, and they were playing these folk festivals. So of course, all my favorite folk singers like Townes Van Zandt and guys like that, they were obsessed with Lightning. And so I had always been a fan, and I knew the obvious, records and stuff like that. But I just deep dive, man. I went into this rabbit hole, and I started writing a bunch of stuff. And about the same time, I started listening to a lot of Dylan stuff.
Oh yeah.
And just records that I hadn't really paid attention to by Dylan, like his 80s stuff, like Infidels.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. And so this record's kind of a combination of just being influenced by a lot of that and writing stuff like that. And it's kind of, it's a real guitar record, man. And, it doesn't have any pedal steel or, fiddles, or doesn't have anything covering up the guitar. It's like, there's some kind of, different feel guitar stuff that I haven't done before on it. And, it's just, I'm pretty excited about it because I feel like it's, like I'm creating a new sound for myself that I think will, help me as I go into the years that I'm at,
Well, I think the title is very descriptive, The Hard Way Blues, and there you are on the cover, and there's no mistaking the fact that you're on a mission, so to speak here, The Hard Way Blues. Out of curiosity, where did that title come from?
Well, I was kidding around with this friend of mine, and I was telling him that I said, I've spent my entire life working outside the system, working outside the mainstream because I didn't like being told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, yeah, you did it the hard way. And I said, okay, that's a song, maybe, and then I thought about, these careers that we have. My career, I've had a weird career.
Career. Okay.
I really have. I don't really know anyone who's had, after I played with all those people and did that for a while, and then I started building my cult following. Then I got into this whole movie thing. And, that was the first money that I ever made. The music business was doing these soundtracks out in Hollywood for these films. Awesome. And I invested my money early on. And so that helped me tremendously so I could have the power to say no later.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. And, a lot of that's got to do with I have a really smart wife. I'd probably be living under a bridge if it wasn't for her.
we all cherish our smart wives. I know Billy does. I do. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah,
they got the whole brain, I think.
Yeah, that's the brain that we lack. Yeah, yeah.
But that's so. It's it has been hard, but it's also been, people don't realize, they look back at these careers and they think, oh, these guys were just on top of the world the whole time. And nobody's really had that. Everyone has, it's a roller coaster, and, I saw this guy backstage at the Grammys, and he goes, I can't believe you're here, man. He'd worked with me a long time ago. He was he was Brian Setzer's manager.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I told him, I'll see you on the way down, man.
Yeah, but
it's all fleeting,
But there you are at the Grammys. That's pretty impressive in itself. You don't get to the Grammys without having some incredible credibility built up there. So that in itself is pretty remarkable, pretty impressive, I should say. Yeah,
that's interesting. A lot of folks, my friends, basically, songwriters and in the music business, they're very interested in getting their music, licensed into soundtracks. How did that come about with you?
It was really kind of a fluke. So I'm out in LA and all my buddies are in Nashville trying to write songs for George Strait or whoever it was back then,
Mm-hmm.
And so I met this woman and she put me in this TV show as a guy for the band, leader for the band. It was a kind of a big TV show. It was called Beverly Hills 90210.
I think we've heard of that.
Yeah, and I was real young, and but I got to write music that we played on the show, and that was back when they had huge budgets.
Oh, yeah.
So because I was on the thing, I started getting all these songs like to put in movies and TV shows, and I ended up doing, a lot of it, like True Blood, Justified, and
Wow.
it just goes on and on.
Wow.
But what really changed my life was this guy who I had really no idea about his music, named Rob Zombie, was making these horror movies.
Yeah.
And Rob Zombie called me and said, "Hey, I'm making the ultimate white trash horror movie, and I think your music would be great."
Is that a compliment? I don't know if I guess that's a compliment and sort of a backhanded compliment.
And so he,
sort of,
he gave me like 75% of the publishing, and the difference between Rob Zombie and like Martin Scorsese is Martin Scorsese hasn't sold 20 million records to crazy rock and roll fans. So, it said produced by Rob Zombie on the record, and it had the, so
that's awesome.
We did 3 of those, and that, that helped me buy a house. And I was living in this neighborhood behind this dentist in this really swank neighborhood in Austin. And the guy was charging me $300 a month to live in his little garage apartment.
All right.
And I ended up buying the house next door.
Nice.
Dang, good for you, man.
So, sometimes you get lucky, and then, like I said, I'll see you on the way down. So,
More about that location. Yeah, man. You're on the West Coast. Yeah.
Well, obviously, you're not on the way down. What are your plans here for the future, Jesse? What do you have in store in the upcoming months here?
Well, I'm going to go out on tour heavily with my solo band, and we're going to go play some cool shows on the West Coast. I think we're doing like the Whiskey a Go-Go.
Wow.
We're doing the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco.
Wow.
And so I'm headlining some of those gigs for the first time, which will be exciting. And then, we got a bus. So that kind of like, it's like, we drove around in vans for, 25 years.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
So that's good. But I've got this new project that I'm doing with this guy named Ian Moore and this other guy named Johnny Muller, who plays guitar for the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
And we're doing a 3-man guitar record right now. And it's going to be killer because we were all fans of this record from the 80s called Showdown that had a Johnny Copeland and Robert Cray and Albert Collins on it.
Wow.
And I was like, my manager who manages me and Samantha, he was like, he's got a real heavy New Orleans accent. He's like, y'all got to do something like this, man. He goes, this will be super bad if y'all do that, man. And I was like, that's a good idea. Let's do it. So we're working on it.
Well, cool. Hey, if you ever get towards East Tennessee, we're on the couple hours east of Nashville, man. I could probably help you set something up here too at some pretty big venues. But
it's where are you at? Knoxville?
We're just outside in Knoxville. We're in the Murray, as locals call it. Maryville. At foothills of the Smokies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I've played Maryville before.
You have?
I played this. I played for all these bikers at this.
Oh, the Shed. You played at the Shed.
I played the Shed too one time, but this place was like a bar in Maryville.
Brackens. I bet it was Brackens. Yeah,
I think it might have been. It was just some
2 doors
bar.
down.
It wasn't anything special. It was just a rock and roll bar.
All right.
And there was a bunch of Harley dudes in there. And
probably 2 doors down, I would think. Right?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
If you got to come to the Shed. I've got some friends that stay with me when they're in town. The crew for Blackberry Smoke, but I'm just saying the Shed. You would be so perfect, man.
Oh
those
yeah,
guys go crazy.
I love those Blackberry Smoke boys. Those are my brothers, man.
Yeah.
They're cooler than hell, man.
Well, I was just over there with them the other day. But man, it's just like probably 10 minutes more we're recording that right now.
Exactly.
Our little venue. But anyway, maybe we talk about that later if you Mainly just let me know if you're coming this way.
The criteria
will,
is
man.
if it's convenient for me. It's got to be within 10 minutes. If it's convenient for me, yes, we'll make it happen.
It's convenient for us all. Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it. We'll definitely do it.
I know we got to let you go there, man. But anyway, I guess we're
all right, man. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
You don't sound jet lagged at all, Jesse. You sound
I'm
perfectly
trying
coherent.
to, put on the old
showbiz. You're a
face,
professional.
but I'm pretty worn out, man.
Well, you're a professional, Jesse Dayton. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, man. And
I look forward to seeing you guys. I'll try to come to East Tennessee.
Please.
Yeah, man, make it. And we're gonna do a little outro here. If you need to go, you can hang up or hang around if you want to hang around a minute. But we're gonna. I got a 5:15, I think. So
Oh,
I'm gonna jump.
All right, man. Thank you. Thanks so much. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. Big thanks to Jesse Dayton and our host Lee Zimmerman. Well, check out Jesse online, man. Man, if you love blues, wow, incredible, actually. I guess I fell in love with his music recently.
You're mesmerized.
I'm still mesmerized. Anyway, check out our host Lee Zimmerman's new book. He's got this book he wrote called 30 Years Behind the Glass. It's about the great Jim Gaines. It's really good. Not to mention his other book about Americana music. That's a great one too. But anyway, they're all available on Amazon. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to my Backstage Pass on your favorite platform, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, or wherever. And if you like it, and we'll see y'all next time.
Happy trails.
Happy trails. Hey, wait. At least stole my outro.
I did it on purpose.
Yeah, happy trails, and catch you guys next time. Thank you.